Okay, before we get started into a hive inspection, you need to make sure you have certain tools. And you'll notice, of course, I'm wearing this very fashionable jacket here, our personal protective equipment that has a veil that obviously is zipped up, as well as sleeves. The most important thing is that you have protective equipment, such as the jacket, or you can wear a full suit. You also want to make sure you put on gloves. These are nitrile gloves. You can use various different types, but these are really helpful, especially if you're going to plan on taking samples at any point. And then if you'll notice, we also have other materials that you will need. So here's a couple of probes that you may use if you want to probe the cells. And then obviously a sample envelope with the information listed for the sample, the mailing envelope for the sample. And then we've got some field kits for European foul brood and American foul brood. These are always really great to have whenever you're doing any sort of hive inspection, but you want to be really careful because they need to be stored at very specific temperatures. So you never want to leave these field kits in a hot car. So definitely keep that in mind if you're going to use them. You also want to make sure you have your field guide to honeybee diseases and their maladies. It's a great field guide. And then, of course, with your field kit, you want to make sure you have some sample vials for taking samples that would be for adult bees. So a vial and, of course, a container and a bag to label your sample. And then finally, you want to have a hive tool. And before you get started, you want to make sure your hive tool is disinfected. So this is just 70% rubbing alcohol and Brillo pad. So still wool, and we're going to use this to disinfect our hive tool before we get started. And of course, if you're working bees, you also want to disinfect between hives, especially if you suspect any sort of diseases while you're working your bees. So this is a great way and a good procedure just to have as process before you do any sort of inspections in the apiary. So these are the tools you need. Make sure you have all these in your kit before you get started. The last thing, don't forget, you want to make sure you have a smoker. The smoker needs to be full of fuel, and you want to make sure that you have some extra fuel if you need it while doing your inspection. So the smoke needs to be readily available throughout your inspection process. So definitely want to make sure you have this tool within hand's reach along with your hive tool. You'll notice I keep my hive tool here so I can always grab it during the inspection. So these are two tools you for sure want to make sure you have very close to the hive that you're working with.